Good morning, good day, good afternoon. This is Action Coach Christian Harbeck, and today I'm welcoming Annie Olufuwa from Learning Alive. Thank you for joining me in this interview.
Thank you so much for having me, Christian. It's lovely to be here.
Why don't you tell us a bit about your business and how it came about that you are with Learning Alive?
Okay, my business is very interesting because it's something of a hybrid. The business is fundamentally education and training. And so we have a split personality in the sense that we do mainstream education with primary, secondary, 18 to 35-year-olds, helping them with educational outcomes and skills development. But we also, and that's under the heading of an NGO, but we also have a private training company where we work in the corporate sector and do teacher training. So we have two horses pulling our cart in that respect.
I like that. So what made you, choose this business or career or whatever you want to call it? What made you decide that?
Well, I can honestly say I'm one of those people that's blessed to have just known from university what I wanted to do. I knew that I loved children, and I discovered that I had a talent for teaching. So I would be what I would describe as a teacher to my bones. I'm a teacher. It's in my DNA. It's what I eat, sleep, drink, and love it. And that is what kind of inspired the whole journey. But the reason it took a path away from being a school teacher is because I realized that there was need beyond mainstream education. So we specialized in supplementary education, which is something that happens maybe after school on Saturdays, because that allowed us to deliver the innovative solutions that we wanted and that we felt children and young people and eventually adults needed, that wasn't restricted by a mainstream curriculum. So our approaches, our methodologies are free because we operate outside of the mainstream. So that is why I needed an entity. So I started a charity. You can hear I'm from England, I'm from London. That's where it all began. And then as the organization evolved, we began to get requests from the corporate sector saying, well, can you train us in some of these same disciplines, but obviously a grown-up version? And then, as a lot of business owners will probably say, it evolved. And one of the favorite things that I like to say to people is the answer is yes. What's the question? So people would come to us and say, well, can you do this? And I'll go, yes, no worries. And then we'll go away and think, how can we make this happen? And then you find that if you just dive in, you're doing it, and then your portfolio, you find a solution, and then your portfolio grows and grows. So Learning Alive in South Africa has existed since 2012. But before that in London, we were operating for 8 years. So we've got a very long pedigree, and that's how we evolved to what we're doing. And as I say, I love every single minute.
That's brilliant. So you've alluded already a couple of pointers already. Who would you identify as your ideal client, your target audience?
At the moment, what we're doing is we're trying to support businesses to find solutions with the current crisis. And I think a lot of people are doing that. We have, again, it evolved because of what people are asking us for. We are helping businesses reach out and connect, and we're helping businesses make do with less through the power of words, really. So we're finding that businesses are changing and they're adapting, and they need to connect. We're moving into the area of remote working, for example. So my ideal client would be a customer or a client or a company that's having to adapt, first of all, to things like remote working, which means that they need the power of words, because we teach communication and presentations and storytelling. I should have probably said that before. So customers that are needing to connect through remote working with their team, for example, people that are actually re-strategizing their message in the light of the shrinkage of the economy, and they need to recraft their message, and they need help with how to do that, the words to choose, the stories to choose. Those are the clients that we want. I think what we're looking for is clients that really are trying to survive with less, because what I can offer is something that you don't need an app. You don't need anything. You can even do this during load shedding because it's what you've already got. It's the power of your words. So companies that need that, they should contact us.
That is really awesome. So obviously now talking about this crisis, COVID has arrived. How has this impacted you and your business?
Well, obviously, as I said, the other side of our operations is that we run school projects, and schools are, as you know, closed, and parents are struggling with homeschooling and so forth. But in particular, from the NGO point of view, our beneficiaries do not have access to online education because they do not have devices and they do not have data.
Yeah.
So everything that we were doing before was face to face, but suddenly we can't reach our kids. You know, and we're talking about a lot of kids. And as I said before, we give them something unique that they need in terms of their personal development, as well as English, maths, and science. So we can't reach them. So COVID has made us have to find ways to get to them in a low data or a free data format. So we just had this massive kind of incubation of, now we must become an online education company. And learning as we do it, which is sometimes the best way to learn. Sometimes the best way to swim is to dive in and
just go for it. Yeah.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
So we've created online platforms. We've found data-free services, and we've actually put together what can be called a fledgling online school for kids with no data, and it's working.
That's actually brilliant. So that pretty much answers my next question. So what would have been the 1 or 2 or 3 things that you have done or pivoted in your business that is now working? And I think you've said it, that you've done a lot of things, you know, migrated from a face-to-face to an online portal. Is there anything else that has really stand out that the audience needs to know about?
Well, it comes back to this new initiative that we're doing with the storytelling. The reason that came about was through BNI. I'm the education coordinator for BNI, Business Network International. And then it was my chapter president that said to me, listen, you know, you're very good with the presentations. Have you thought about making this into a service? And I was kind of focusing on the other elements of the business until I started actually helping people, and people were coming back to me and saying, you know, I'm doing this and it's working. So then I said, okay, let's build this up into something that we can offer in a more structured way. So I did in lockdown, I've done a couple of free of charge webinars on the storytelling, and the response has been amazing. And on the back of that, that's why we're building that into a proper structured service. So it's almost like it arrived to me rather than me going to it. So, and again, it's helping people connect online. So I think the reason people are needing help to tell their stories is because of having to do everything online, and they don't have so many tools other than their words. Yeah. So that's something that's came from COVID, definitely.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So let me ask it a bit different. So if you want to strategize something and you want to, you know, brainstorm, who do you do it with, and who is your mentor? Is there anyone in your business, in your life, that where you sit around the table and then you just, you know, come up with some great ideas? Tell me a bit about that.
The chapter president and the director consultant are very supportive in terms of sitting down and saying, let's put together something. As I said to you, it was the chapter president that came to me and said, why don't you do this? So I often go back to them. I have a very good relationship with my sister in England, who's also a businesswoman. And so that's like mutual family mentoring. And, you know, colleagues in the teaching and training industry, if we're trying to develop something like, for example, the new initiative that we're doing in storytelling, I would definitely go back to colleagues in the teaching and training industry to talk about how we put this together, how we make it work, what's it going to look like, and who's going to deliver it. So I've got a wide network of, you know, I think you find mentoring in so many different places. You can, even the children mentor you sometimes because they're little parcels of genius, and if you listen to them, you can brainstorm with the kids you teach, you can brainstorm with your own kids. You know, there's mentors everywhere in life. That's what's beautiful about it. You're on mute.
Sorry, yeah, sorry, I unmuted I had to cough a little bit. Sorry about that. You know,
That's
it's
okay.
been said that smart people learn from the mistakes and wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So what mistakes did you make along the way, and how can other entrepreneurs learn from your experience?
I think that's a very good question, and I want to think about it very carefully before I answer, because
Mm.
maybe I've got so many mistakes to choose from that I'm finding it difficult. Um, but I think that the thing that's really come to me recently is that you overcomplicate things and you make them bigger in your mind than they need to be. So you inflate, you make things too grand. This is what I have done in the past. I think I can't do that. It's too much. It's too big. It's too high a mountain for me to climb. Um, and that comes from two other mistakes that you make. One is underestimating yourself, and one is not breaking up whatever it is you've got to do into small, manageable tasks. So don't look at the whole thing, because then it might overwhelm you. But just say, what's the first thing I can do? And even if it's literally only one thing a day, you will look back on a month and you will realize how much you've actually done. And then you think, I can do this.
Yeah,
You know, it's like I say to the kids I teach, how do you eat an elephant? One
just
bite
wanted
at a
to just wanted to say that.
one bite at a time.
Yeah,
So the mistake that I made was doing that,
yeah.
making myself too small because of self-esteem, and making the
Mm.
task too big by not breaking it up.
Mm. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So let's imagine you can put yourself into a little time machine and you can, you know, turn back the time by 12 months. What would you have done differently?
Um, I think I would have started the current business strand that I'm working on earlier, because it would be much further along now.
Yeah,
Um, I would have. I think I would have actually had the mindset change that I told you about, in
yeah,
terms of
yeah.
understanding how to approach tasks. Yeah, I think I would have started what I'm doing
Mm.
then, because it would
Earlier.
have been much more developed.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually resonate on that, what you've been saying. You know, with a lot of our business is also done now online for all our coaching and all the business that we do online. You know, we could have and should have done that before, but we were, you know, face to face organization. So a lot of things we've done face to face, but now doing these presentations, interviews, I mean, what do you want to call it? I mean, this amazing thing called the internet and Zoom, you know, it actually has brought a lot of us closer together in some ways, especially with family, I found. I don't think I've ever talked or spoken so much with family members. And so there is some good that has come out of it, which is definitely remarkable, and thanks to this internet. Yeah. So it's definitely
Yeah,
along the way.
I imagine if we had this lockdown situation and we didn't have the internet.
Mm. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we're already seeing, economic shrinkage, but
Mm.
it would have been a collapse.
Yeah.
And also, yes, the fact that people are closer together, they're spending more time with their family because they're indoors and discovering new things about each other. So
Yeah.
there's always, there is always a silver lining.
Absolutely. Okay, so Annie, I've got all your details, your website address, and your contact details, which is below in this interview. Is there anything that you want to share that you are running a special on? Anything that the audience needs to know about, and immediately get in touch with you?
Immediately, please get in touch with me, because I'm running a free of charge webinar. It's the third time I'm running this webinar because people are going crazy about it. It's only 30 minutes out of your life. and I'm going to give you tips that you can start doing right now that will cost you nothing. So the webinar is free of charge. So drop me a line and I will give you the forthcoming dates. And also, people who are watching this particular video and mention the fact that you saw the Action Coach video, if you mention that, I will give you a free consultation as well.
Brilliant. That is really brilliant. Thank you so much for that. And that actually gets me to my last question. What is the most inspiring thing for you today?
The fact that you would do this for people is really, really inspiring.
Okay.
Because we really do have to help each other right now. And you got in touch and you're saying you're doing this thing and you want to help businesses who are struggling, and people reach out. So, imagine if everybody started doing the same sort of thing that you're doing. It would just make a massive difference. So that's inspired me a lot. So I'm very, very grateful to you, Christian.
Ah, super. Thank you so much. Yeah, that concludes our session. And yeah, everybody out there, please reach out to Annie. It's really interesting what you've shared, and I'm definitely going to, spread your or share your business far and wide through all my platforms. It's been really a pleasure having you with me today. Thank you so much.
Thanks again.